Remedy Exchange. She's our speaker of the evening. So Justina has been generous enough to spend her time getting this presentation together, so we're looking forward to hearing from her. Now, a little bit about Justina is that she is a healthy living expert in 1984. I know, I don't even say that.
I wasn't even thought of that.
In 2014, she graduated the University of Massachusetts Amherst with a Bachelor in Sports Science Management and Business. She quickly began educating others on how to increase their quality and longevity of life as a personal trainer and a health coach when she started her first business, Just Fit with Justina. As a continuation of the same mission statement and a desire to reach a larger audience, I'm from Long Island. Sorry, audience. In 2018, Justina opened the Remedy Exchange in Wakefield, which is a superfood cafe. Her next venture include nutrition talks with local schools, health, and first responding departments, as well as the creation of a foundation in the memory of her father, Stephen Langone, who was a 42-year-old Boston fireman who passed away in 2013 from cancer. The foundation's purpose will be to educate first responders and give them resources for a proactive approach to fighting off occupational hazard damage. So without further ado, I'll raise the microphone a little bit higher. Welcome, Justina. Good. Sorry.
No, you're fine, Marie. Oh, thanks, ladies, for having me. This is literally a dream come true and such an honor to talk shop with a room full of beautiful and ambitious women this evening. Thank you to the 5 chambers. We have Melrose, Stoneham, Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, and Tewksbury that put on this event on a yearly basis. It's amazing. There's an incredible amount of women in these communities that run businesses. I literally had no idea until I started one myself. Wakefield especially is booming with them. So thank you all for having me. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start off this evening with a little bit of an alternative introduction. On this screen behind me, you will find a list of, as Julie Andrews says it best, these are a few of my favorite things. It's a little funky. You'll get a feeling for my personality throughout the evening. First and foremost, fireworks. Who doesn't love fireworks? Come on now. They remind me of Disney, Harry Potter, unicorns, all very magical things. Salmon, peanut butter, and avocados, the good kind of fat. All right. Yep. Sports. So as you guys know, I went to UMass Amherst, sports management major. Not really a stats kind of gal. It's more of like the whole passion for pure passion and like athleticism behind sports and whatnot. That really gets me going. There's something to be said that each sport has, a breed of creatures within, and with sharing a commonality, which is to win. So I love sports all around. Number 4 is Spice Girls.
Oh, I love that.
So I couldn't get my audio plugged in, which is probably a blessing. I was gonna do a little rap for you, but that's all right. We'll skip over that one. Brittany will have flashbacks to karaoke at the Squire in Chatham, like 2 summers ago when I did "Wanna Be" on karaoke.
It was great.
That's all right. My 5th favorite thing. Does anybody in here either own or has rented a lake house, beach house, etc.? Hands up. I mean, isn't it literally the best thing ever to be near water in some sort? I mean, I don't know what it is about that element, but it just literally puts everybody back in balance and brings them to their happy place. So I have had a lake house my entire life up until this summer, which it's all right. We're moving on to new beginnings, Mom. It's going to be okay. But it was truly our happy place. So that's one of my favorite things. Quotes. I don't know about you guys, but my Pinterest board for quotes is literally off the chain. So you'll be seeing a whole lot of quotes tonight, cliche and whatnot, some original things. Quotes are something that when I can't quite put words to something, they just do it for me and just put a different meaning and understanding to certain things. So I put them on Post-its all over my house, in the business, send out in weekly employee emails, quotes, so love them. Number 7 is I love to step out of my comfort zone. when I first opened the business, somebody had told me, excuse me for a moment, if I wanted to be successful, I should get comfortable in my discomfort. I couldn't agree more now. It is something that if you want to open a business or just be successful in general, you have to learn to just constantly deal with discomfort. And stepping out of your comfort zone is the best way to do that. And on a daily basis, I think we should all challenge ourselves to do that in every moment, in every interaction. How, look for the way that we can. Number 8 of my business is one of my favorite things, but it's more so actually owning the business that is my favorite thing. It's what owning the business allows me to do that is my favorite thing. The standing in front of you guys right now, that's a huge thing right there. I am becoming very obsessed with this whole educating the community element on nutrition and how they can be better versions of themselves in all departments. Tonight we will not be focusing too much on nutrition, which is nice for a change, but I will say that owning the business, like I said, the day-to-day operations is really cool, but it's more so, sponsoring youth teams in the community, getting involved with the chambers, making a difference on many levels, and just inspiring people is really the much cooler part. It gives me a platform to stand on and to have a much louder voice on a larger scale, and that's the cooler things that you don't really realize are going to come with it. Number 9, don't cringe, mama, swearing. Oh, Lord. Some days I have a mouth of a sailor. I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness. I'm working on it. But, doesn't it feel so good?
Yeah.
It's real. So I actually, I went back and forth a little bit with, I feel like you ladies might all have a fun sense of humor, but I decided not to do this. For the record. I thought we could do like a community swear together, and then I realized the chamber might never invite me back to ever do a speech ever again. So we ixnayed that one, but it does. It just feels so good. So, so I will leave this list up to an individual interpretation for what you think it says about me. I personally think it says I'm pretty awesome. That's just me, right? My mom's been saying since I was little I'm my own biggest fan, so. I would like to take this as an opportunity to segue into the main event of tonight's little circus, and we're actually going to start off with a cheers. So if everybody can grab their glass. Or let's fake a glass.
Tea.
So,
Yeah. Duty.
raise it, and we'll do a toast to this room full of women that are truly in a league of their own. If you are here, you absolutely are. And to fearlessly, relentlessly, and unapologetically pursuing your dreams and remaining true to yourself along the way. So, cheers.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, you still got that one.
Nice. Now that we got all our whistles wet, I got my auntie Lynn in the room. Can I get a whistle for all the women in business, auntie? Come on, let me get a good quick whistle. Yep. We always knew when she was at a game. Always. So a little bit of background about me. I'll leave that up for a sec. As Marie did say a few things, but I grew up in Chelsea, right near the salt mines, off of Marginal Street. Moved to West Roxbury in 7th grade, went to Boston Latin Academy.
Loved you, Justina.
Nice! Woo! So I moved there, where I met some of the best friends of my life in high school, and then from there, eventually went to UMass Amherst. Do we have any Minutemen in the house, or is that all right? Nice. There we go. Great. It is a wonderful institution to say that I graduated from. So I did receive did I go to college? I received a degree in sports management from them, and in the business school. I also swam for the university. And then my senior year, I got into bodybuilding pretty heavy. That's kind of where the nutritional side, the nutrition obsession started to grow. And it's funny, because at first, that part was just aesthetically how I could look better. It had nothing to do with how I could actually heal my body and make a difference on that level. So, and then I started to compete, which my
Look at
dad
that
I think,
tan.
would be slightly mortified to be on this screen right now next to me in a bikini, but I know he'd be proud to be if he was there that day. So the other half of the nutrition obsession grew out of his sickness. So Daddy was diagnosed, I don't recall the year, but with stage 4 lung cancer right off the bat. And in hindsight, I didn't know much about nutrition back then, but I do remember that part of his protocol had nothing to do with going to a nutritionist. It had everything to do with going to chemo and medicine and harmful chemicals that were just attacking his body and making things worse. So out of all that, with the two, I became pretty obsessed with nutrition. What's it called? So yeah, that's me at the Jay Cutler Classic 4 years ago. It was really cool to see myself on that level. I enjoy my diet and my regimen a lot more now, but that was an example of me pushing out of my comfort zone to the extreme, and I kind of rocked it out of the park.
Miserable.
So I did. Thank you. And then after college, I worked at Nesson for a little while, New England Sports Network. That was something that taught me what I did not want to do in life. So if you don't take one thing away, you take another. The corporate cubicle life was really not for me, for many reasons, by all means. But I knew that there was something more I could do with my degree in my life, and it was not conducive to the quality of life that I saw for myself. So I left Nesson, and then I was bartending, doing the millennial side hustle that is Instagram influencer. And then, what else was I doing? And then I was doing a whole lot of modeling on the side, which it was cool, it paid the bills. I had a really nice car, I had a really nice apartment. I had a good life by all means, but was I truly fulfilled? No, definitely not. I was going through the motions. Again, did I know what I wanted to do? No, but it worked for me for the time being. So from there, I was personal training, working in a few gyms, and then I had met my friend Rebecca here. Rebecca is a Jersey girl. She has got a big smile, big personality, lots of ambition, and a big old booty on her. I love her. She would die laughing, for the record, if she was here for that. So Rebecca and I linked up at one of the gyms we were working at, and we always had big conversations. She was one of those girls that when I met, we instantly, at that point in my life, it was meant to be. We had big conversations about dreams and goals and ambitions, and it was never like, how's the weather, by any means. And so we went to hang out one day, and I can't quite accredit who did it or said we were gonna do it, but we ended up printing out a blank business template. And I remember I found it online. I was shooting out of the printer, and I literally was like, oh, what is that? It was 50 pages long. Felt like I was back in business school again. And this is a similar example to what I had found. I couldn't find it. I was bummed today. I was rummaging through storage, the original copy of what we made up. But we sat on my roof deck that day, and there was a whole lot of procrastination and well, what's yours say? And what are you writing over there? And then before we knew it, we got through it together. She wanted to open a gym, and I wanted to open a smoothie shop, and that's the day Remedy was born. So that was really cool. So, this next quote. Now that Remedy, the idea was there, by all means. It was on paper at this point now. So this is a quote from the book The Alchemist. Has anybody in this room read that? Awesome. It is a wonderful book. There's so many themes in it. This one is one that really struck with me, though. And so the quote says, "And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it." That kind of tucks into the law of attraction and how that all works. And so I will tell you from here the story of how Remedy was really born. So we did the business plan we wrote that out in June of 2017, right? July 3rd of 2017, less than a month later, roughly, I got invited to a holiday barbecue at a friend's of mine's house, Skylar and GV. They used to be personal training clients of mine. They live out in Marblehead now. And so I wasn't training with them anymore, but we remained friends. So I was at their house, just having a barbecue. And we're catching up, GV's like, oh, what are you up to? How's life? And I'm explaining, I'm still at the bar, still doing that whole spiel. Life's good. It's no complaints by any means. But I was like, I actually just started to write up a business plan to I think I'm gonna open a smoothie place, like, and that's all it was. And his jaw hit the ground. And at first I'm literally like, oh my God, what'd I say? Like, what did I do wrong? And he's like, Skylar, go get the menus. And GV's a big personality anyways, and I'm like, what? And Sky comes back with 10 menus and slaps them on the table. As GV had been traveling for work around the country, he had been collecting menus from cafes and smoothie shops and superfood cafes that he had been going to. And he was like, I just thought this was a great idea and somebody should bring it back home here and start one up. He's in construction. He's like, that's not my world. But he's like, I just thought this was a great idea and I just been collecting these. So talk about organic, right? Isn't that wild? I mean, to this day, I love to tell that story because I still can't even believe how it all came together. So he's like, I'm all in. And he's just that guy, like all chips in. And so he's like, I'm all in. I'm like, all right, sounds good. So we had a handful of drinks that night anyways. I ended up sleeping over, couldn't drive home. And so we wake up in the morning and I said goodbye to GV and Sky and he real quick, he's like, dinner next week, all right, the three of us, bring that business plan, let's get this going. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sure, sounds good. And sure enough, we met next week and we chatted it up. We still have the bill that we from dinner, and we all signed it, and that was like a staple in Remedy's history, which is really cool. So that being said, right after that, that happened July. October, we purchased a space in Wakefield. March and April started to do renovations, and then we opened in August of next year. So it was like, when you conspire to do something, the universe truly gets behind you. And that's why this quote, I'm like, wow. So it's now been over a year for Remedy. We are about to hit 15 months, and I can truly say at this point that it is a success, which is really cool. So thank you. Nonetheless, it's not much easier, but as many of I'm sure of you could relate, but it's still fun. So. Opening was entertaining, to say the least. So these are just some pictures real quick when we purchased the space. Bare bones. Luckily, it was a beautiful space prior. But yeah, we had to do not a lot of renovation, but we had to do renovations. And that being said, a lot of original thought with that. And again, I was like, I'm just good at making smoothies. Isn't there somebody that can do this? But no, there's not. And so I made all the decisions, drew up all the plans. GV, luckily construction was his forte, so he helped me do it. And then we moved forward, and this is a little bit of what Remedy looks like now. Right here on the right is my friend Brittany's daughter, Sophia. They walked by before we opened with the coming soon sign, and I remember the day we put up that sign, and I like sat on the curb for about a half hour and just looked at it. Just like, wow. And little did I know like what was to come, but it was cool. So this was opening day. So opening day was entertaining, to say the least. It was a straight up circus. I will fully admit, in hindsight now, I can say this, I didn't set up proper systems, I didn't train the staff properly. We had nothing in the grab and go except for waters. We had a menu up and stuff. We were able to make smoothies, but God bless anybody that kind of came through on that opening day and spent money. If it was any of you, please come in for a smoothie on my watch nowadays. I had no idea to many of the questions I was asked that day, but hey, that's what opening day is. So, and then, in hindsight, and I say we because there's no I in team. One thing we did have, this is the opening staff, top left, is we had personality, and we had confidence, and we had purpose. So I may have dropped the ball in the systems department and setting up side, but I did one thing right, and it was inspire the staff with what I was trying to do here. And they got it, right? Like for even as young as a lot of those girls and the one boy that we had, they truly heard me. And so I inspired them, I guess. You know, they understood that our mission was to change the community and by giving them, you know, access to healthier food. And that part of it was crystal clear to them. So they battled it through and they took those first few steps to get things going. And we made it through. It was a sink or swim kind of day, and I think we swam. So that was day one, which was still, I still laugh to this day. Oh, no, gotta go back on that. Hold up. So, yep, that was the team. That was the first day. Who in here wants to be, is or has opened their own business? Everybody, I assume, for the most part? Cool. Those who have will understand me when I say this. Those that will, this is not meant to be a scare tactic, but I hope you like roller coasters. I really do. Oh my God. We just recently went through another one too, and it's like, when you're at a low, it is like, you don't kind of even see a light out of it. But now once you see the pattern over about a year and a half, you're like, okay, there will be an upturn again, by all means. So that's that. This is entrepreneur life. You literally, you yourself, and that's it. Hold yourself accountable. It's like walking yourself on a daily basis. So there's a lot of pain in it, emotionally, physically, etc. But it's all worth it, and I will get to that part. This is something I saw before opening a business. I remember scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's a cool graphic. Had no idea. This, in a nutshell, is truly what is like owning a business. It really is. To have those few inches on top, to show on the surface, you put in endless hours of hard work, persistence, late nights, discipline, rejection, courage, criticism, change, risk, innovation, dedication, good habits, passion, and honesty. It never ends. It is truly around the clock, nonstop. Again, not scare tactics, I'm just speaking the truth. I mean, it's really, and my friends can vouch for it. They've seen me having a beer by the fireside, working on menus, making phone calls to like order celery at night. It's like, it's your essence, that's what it is. You put in endless hours around the clock, but that top part there, called success, is so worth it. And that's where I definitely had a moment at like year one, where I sat and like late night, just had a little tea by myself in the shop, and you're like, damn, I did it. So, yeah. And then, like I had said before, you learn to get comfortable with discomfort. It doesn't have as much shock value on you, anything that's coming your way anymore. And this was me half the time too. So, it's fine. The room is literally burning up around me. Cool as a cucumber. Oh Lord. Again, my friends and family can vouch for a lot of this, because as a shop owner, you can't kind of show that. You got to be strong as steel in there. You can't let people see the hiccups as much. But at home, you get to be human again. So, you know, it was. Let me just see real quick. You know, there's times in those first 6 months where I just remember, and I'm sure people can relate, is just feeling so alone and like raw at times, like just feeling like nobody understands this. Like people would listen to me on, I mean, my friends would, of course, but and they just say it's gonna be okay, etc. But like, it's hard, it really is, and nobody really gets that, and you feel like some days you are truly running on empty. Your weaknesses start to feel much larger than your strengths. You know, an analogy that I often used was like I was on a moving train, and I was just holding on, and then I would adjust myself, and then it would go faster, and then I'd have to adjust again. And it's this constant adjustment process. You feel as if too, like your foot's always on the accelerator, especially in the beginning. Like you're in a NASCAR race going 1,000 miles an hour, answering questions, making decisions, making things, like cleaning stuff. It just never ends. And then you get a break, which is like 5 seconds on the toilet, honestly. It really is. Like moms can relate to that, I'm sure. When you sit down, you're like, and then somebody yells, my sister down the stairs, Justina! I'm like, all right, God, okay. So, yeah, that was that. But then, you know, you find that after a while it does. Every day kind of gets easier, and the whole like pressure of constant decision making doesn't feel as heavy. And you know, it breaks you down, yeah. And then you're also hanging on to this like, remember why you started kind of thing, like what your mission is, and that starts to lose its luster a little bit. It does. And yeah, you're like, why did I start? I'm trying to heal people because I'm dying. But legit, hanging on by a thread, faking it till you make it. But and then you end up, you know, before you know it, like a diamond in the rough. So I looked up today too how diamonds were made. They're found as a piece of charcoal, right? Put under 725,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. Also heated up to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, and then they're cut and they're a beautiful diamond. So I really can understand that. I'm really scaring you guys all out of starting a business right now, aren't I? Truly not my intention, but I don't know how to be anything but brutally honest. So.
True.
But yeah, so the first 6 months, it was constant transitions. You're just refining yourself constantly. You know, you go home, you reflect a little bit. How can I be better? You're just pushing. You distill yourself and repeat. So, and then you got to learn to trust the process. And that's where, you know, after about 6 months was when I found that I could wake up and it didn't feel as heavy on me anymore. You know, you start to truly see what you're made. Once you like get that strength and you start to see what you're truly made of underneath, and then you start to see things change. You know, things get easier. The work you were putting in starts to pay off. The staff starts to understand things. They start to think for you. You just make all these small little changes that make such a big difference. And that anxiety that you wake up with, like I said, it starts to lessen. Which, by the way, half the time too, all of that pressure, I like to call it the overachiever's curse. Like, we put that pressure on ourselves, especially as entrepreneurs. You're holding yourself accountable on a daily basis, and because you know that if you slack off, the business is gonna get hurt by it. And you just gotta be kind to yourself through that, you do. Because you're all doing a great job by all means. So, I'll go back for a second. With the shop or your business, you start to see the beauty in all of it, and like back to that why you started it, because that finally comes to the surface, and people are understanding your mission and what you're trying to do. Moms, you can relate to this. You start to see your baby growing up. It's taken on a certain personality, a certain identity of its own, which is really sweet. You know, you set parameters so that you hope it grows in a certain direction. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You only have so much control over that, but you have to embrace that process and trust it, that whatever's meant to be is gonna form itself. So, and then from there, your vision starts to change, because you're like, all right, like that bowl that I thought was gonna be great, or that salad, like nobody wanted it. So you have to start to change your vision and then put it in this different direction. Then you also start to understand, like I said, what is working, what's not working, and then really which direction this is all going in. Because again, I just was like, hey, I'm good at making smoothies. I want to start a smoothie shop one day. And then before I know it, Remedy is now, you know, yeah, we have food, and it's somewhere that people come to eat, but they come there to meet and like break bread together, and then talk about you know, what they're gonna do and how they can change the world or to make themselves better. And that's, I think, my favorite part of it. And I've started to embrace that element of it, because the food is secondary. It just gets people in the door and softens them up enough to listen to what you're really the message you're trying to get across to them. And for us, it's that food can be a remedy for any ailment that you have. But there's so many more layers to that within your business, by all means. Let me see. Rome wasn't built in a day. Here's another quote. I'm sure y'all have heard that before. It's very important, and I can't say this enough, to take time for you along the way. We just grind on a daily basis. When we're especially when you're on a passion project, trying to put yourself into something, and we just forget about ourselves a little bit sometimes. And then it's so important to take time for you, but make time for you, I think is the better wording actually. Because you won't find it. You have to make it. You do. And then to reflect upon it too. You know, the reflection part is I don't think you can get better unless you look back on something and you're like, well, no, that went a certain way, or I could have done better in that, or I did a great job, or will I do that again, or you know, the reflection part is in evaluating that is so important to your growth, for your personal growth and then your business growth. I think it's important to try and set yourself up, whether it's a day trip or whatnot, to be present and to let go of this hat that we put on, which is, you know, the business owner hat and role, and to just disconnect from that. You know, whether it's journaling, seeing a therapist, you take a day trip, work out, read, jam out to Spice Girls, scream into your pillow, smoke a J, take a nature walk, whatever it is, whatever your thing is that you find you can actually like disconnect for a little bit and gain some perspective. I love it. That's for you. Like, you hold on to that tight and you make time for it. Make yourself a priority. Never forget that, no matter what you're doing in life. So, the perspective element, it's crucial for the perspective part, and I say that because I know there was a few times in the first 6 months where, you know, you just get lost, and because you're there in the business, like, that's your identity. You're wearing the uniform every day, and then when I would take like a day trip somewhere to just disconnect, I would end up half the time going to another juice shop and doing a little recon. But it was cute. It was fun, you know. You put on a cute outfit and you're like, all right, let's just go explore today and get lost on purpose. But I always came back with fresh ideas and feeling so recharged just from that small day away. And so I can't emphasize enough the business will be there when you get back. It'll be okay. So this next slide is some bloopers from our first 6 months. Number 1, account for nothing to go as planned. So, like literally nothing. Have a plan B, C, D, and E. I used to say to myself, I remember, I was like, oh, Justina, you're a flowing stream. It's like as you approach every rock, just go with the flow. Yeah, okay. Fake it till you make it, right? And so that's that. The next one is, so check your dimensions, all right? I ordered these puppies off Amazon for our opening, and I was like, oh, they'd be cute, we can put stuff in them, right? These little guys show up. I'm like, we just laughed at it, like, all right, cool, yep, that's that. So check your dimensions. Good help is hard to find. I never could have underestimated that saying. I mean, it really is. It's unfortunately there is few and far between really great workers nowadays. So if you can refine your interviewing process, and I find that a great conversation works good. Like truly ask them about their dreams and aspirations, and maybe give them a task to do, or you know, get them in the mix with you for like 5 minutes and just see how they react, see what their people skills are like. So that's what I found that works for me. Number 5, always distilling and taking constructive criticism. That was, I remember, in the first 6 months, there was a period there where I became like really unapproachable for a little bit, because I felt as if like it was like every piece of advice, good or bad, I was like taking it off the chest. Like I just felt like someone was trying to tell me how to raise my kid. And I just remember like leaving one day and I was like, I can't speak to somebody for a second. And the local fire captain, who's a regular of ours, he wrote a note on a piece of paper and just handed it to me. And it just said, people wouldn't give you advice if they didn't believe in you. And I still have it, and it really like rung true for me. And I'm like, you know what, that is, and I just have the wrong perspective on this. And so that's something that I think is really important, is to understand that for the most part, people are coming from a good place when they give you constructive criticism. So do not isolate yourself. Friends and family are everything. Go back to that. So this is a picture of my sister here. She helps run the business with me, and when I say friends and family are truly everything, that has rung so true for me. I think that when you can't be strong, you can lean on them and they will be there for you, whether it's to give advice or help pick you up or just give a shoulder to cry on. I've had another friend in the room, Kendra. I called her. She's talked me off so many ledges. And I would call and ask her how her day was, and she would just be like, honey, let it out. And I was like, boo! She just knew. But you can't do it without friends and family. You really can't. That sense of community is so important. And I don't care how independent to a fault that you are, you truly need to reach out and ask for that. I did skip over one, which makes sense for this picture, blood, sweat, and tears. So, listening to the universe is important. There was a point when we were getting ready for opening, and long story short, I was training my employees how to cut sweet potatoes, and I should have done this better, but I had an employee that was like stabbing a sweet potato. I ended up, no joke, she pulled the thing out. It was like King Arthur with the sword, right? Literally pulled it out and just pew right across my fingers. So yeah, wild. But that was like a total sign from the universe, like to slow down. Blood, sweat, and tears in Remedy. Where I can laugh about it in hindsight; they still work fine. So that was interesting. But everybody's got to go through it. Don't isolate yourself. I said that. Fall forward. I don't know if anybody has heard the commencement speech by Denzel Washington. He's at UPenn. It's awesome. It's like a half hour. I highly recommend everybody listen to it. But his biggest thing is it's fall forward. Embrace mistakes and failure. I truly believe now that there is opportunity in every mistake, and that we're all lifetime students. And it's important to take risks and be willing to fail. Because there's a lesson in every single one of them. And again, it's perspective for what you take out of it. But don't be scared to fail and look at it. It's all falling forward. You're all progressing with every failure. Comes a bit of success. So the road to where you are going is not a straight one, and understand that too. So we have to trip and fall so we can learn to pick ourselves back up. Fear talking, I think that's important to know when you're on the brink of making a decision, and you gotta evaluate it. Is it fear speaking to you, or is this reality? And that's where friends and family are wonderful to run a scenario past. So just take the time to realize that. They say, I heard before, Will Smith said, on the other side of fear is pure bliss. And he refers to it for jumping out of a plane, which, great reference, right? But he says, you're petrified at that door, but the second you get out into the sky for skydiving, he's like, it is just pure bliss. And that's even, I have to fully admit tonight, up until like an hour ago, I was sweating. And then I was fine talking to my girlfriends, then you guys all started to come in the room, and I was like, oh my God, I think I have to go to the bathroom. We're fine, and now it's pure bliss, because we get smiles, you guys are engaging, and I hope I can plant a seed throughout all of this. But what is most frightening turns into being what is most rewarding. So remember that. Last but not least, enjoy the little things, or take a moment to smell the roses. It's important with your businesses to just get lost in the sauce, kind of, to take in the small little things in between. So right here's a picture of me. Jim Murray, I don't know if anybody listens to Felger and Maz or their husbands do or anything like that, but Jim is a regular at the shop, and I had no idea who he was when he came in one day, but he had asked, he was like, I'm at Talk Radio, I love to promote small businesses and I love what you do here, and he asked if he could have a shirt. I'm like, sure. And so I gave him a shirt. I'm at the car dealership the next day, and I look up, and he's wearing the shirt on TV. I lost it. Everybody in that dealership, literally, they thought, we had to call 911 or something. So that was wicked cool. But it's articles that get written, pictures in the paper. Our first day that we hit our highest sales, screenshot that, take all those little small landmarks in. It's so important, because you will look back and just, you'll say, oh, wow, I miss those days, or remember those days. There was one other cute thing that I remember. It happened 3 months ago. On Saturdays especially, we're really busy, and the girls are always on the line, and I'm kind of orchestrating things a little bit. You gotta people need direction and stuff, and I'll never forget, we were busy, and I found myself getting in the girls' way, and they kindly said to me, they were like, boss, can you go downstairs or do some boss stuff? And I was like, yep, sure. Okay. And I like went down there and they had it. Everything was coming out perfect. Like they just got it. And it's like my girls grew up that day. And I shed a small tear in the basement, but it's moments like that you have to stop and be present and like catalog them because those are landmarks. They really are. So it's important to take a moment to smell the roses. So 1 year celebration. It's a celebration. Again, reflect, adjust, set new goals, crush them. After about a year, you feel as if you might be made of steel. Like, literally. You're like, there's nothing that can come my way that I cannot do. I felt that way up until, that's right, tonight I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But we're good. And then, yeah, but after about a year, you start to feel a little more human again. You can breathe. The business starts to be a little more well-oiled. And then again, though, there's always that next curveball coming your way. Just know that you can never get too comfortable because it will come your way again. But then it's fun. I mean, like recently, our walk-in went down. You kidding me? Like the walk-in went down for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And what we thought was like a momentary thing turned into this bigger thing, but that was our biggest nightmare, and it went down and we got over it, and now it's like day-to-day life with the walk-in back up is a breeze. So yeah, you just never know when the next curveball's coming, but it's okay. And all right, so now we will break into life hacks. Here we go. Life hacks. Prepare, prepare, prepare. If I can say anything, I've loved this quote since I heard it way back when, but fail to prepare and prepare to fail. It's literally as simple as that. Whether that comes down to your outfit the night before, take 5 minutes to put a little effort into your appearance so you can feel human the next day. You can have a few more minutes to put some makeup on in the morning or something. You know, meal prepping and nutrition, that's huge. What you put into your body is like fuel that you put into your car. You want to take that 1.5 hours to 2 hours a week or something to get yourself set up with, even if it's, you know, small snacks and stuff. So A, you're not spending excessive money out and about on the run. And B, you can have one less thing to think about, and then you know you're feeding your body with that proper fuel. Meal prep companies are wonderful too. There's some things that you want to, if you're not good at it, pay others to do what they are good at and help their business out at the same time. So that's a thought. I always say list on list on list.
Yeah.
Post-its are a beautiful thing, and then reprioritize within that. Always throughout your day, you're scratching things off, and then you're adjusting things. You're seeing what needs to truly be prioritized and moved up to the top. I'm sure these are all things that you ladies all know, but reminders can't hurt, and they really do make all the difference if you prioritize some of these life hacks. Live by the schedule, but know when to turn it off. That's a big thing, because especially when you're trying to be present and in the moment, put the phone down. It will all be there when you want to go pick it back up. We often like recharge or take vacations and stuff, but we don't. We're not there. We're not present. We're still like a foot in the door somewhere else. And I think we forget how good it feels when you just like literally mentally arrive somewhere. Not physically, but like mentally you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I can literally feel this breeze on my skin and this is so nice right now. Like nothing else matters. So that's that. Law of attraction and manifestation. I recently became a believer in praying a little bit more thanks to my friend Jessica and the power of prayer. I'm not a huge religion person by any means, but it's more so about a higher power and energy out there in the universe. And I can't vouch enough for manifesting your own destiny. And that connects into, as I told you ladies with my story, I mean, it was literally 1 month, less than a month from when I had put that pen to paper. And then that whole thing fell into place. Like I'm such a believer in the universe, and what you put into it, you will get back. And so, you want to envision it. You do. You want to go to bed and envision the life that you have dreamed for yourself every day. And then over communicate. Communication is key, and with all relationships in life. For some reason, some people, withhold things, and